Emergency Starfleet Command. Captain's Log, 24th of April, 2022. It looks like the 40-year mission to boldly go where no globalist has gone before is about to end in a crash. We're here, orbiting this planet Janet, and now some tractor beam has us in its grip. It's drawing us down towards the surface. Scotty says the engine room is full of gold bricks and we can't fire up the warp. What's your assessment, Mr. Spock? You're absolutely correct on this occasion, Captain. I have computed our trajectory, and it seems the only logical conclusion is that we will impact the surface of the planet at 9 a.m. on the 25th of April, somewhere in the vicinity of Wall Street.
You are on the next level. This is The Beautiful Truth, where the expression is still free.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And you're very welcome. It's The Beautiful Truth with Finton Dunn reporting. And we had a little wobbly on Friday, Wall Street, that is, and Thursday as well. A little wobbly threw all of our toys out of the pram. Hey, Wall Street, baby, did the Fed man take away all your low interest rates? Yes, and he also took away all our quantitative easing. Oh, that's terrible. And now the Schultz man, he said he's going to pay in rubles. Well, I know I heard that, but, what does that mean? It means we're screwed, dummy. That's what it means. Because he's got all the gold bricks and we can't do the printing. Where's my broker? Yes, Wall Street shedding nearly 3%. Good practice for what's coming next week as the Fed signals interest rates toughening and the market reacts as it's supposed to, as it's allowed to. Because that's theatre, that's the diversion. The real big news, which is coming out over the weekend, was the crystallization of the economic realities as the EU admitted that after all, Vladimir Putin will be getting paid in rubles for his oil, and that is going to set the basis for the payment of commodities globally as we go forward from now. For Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and the rest of the world, as the inflection point is finally reached, when we finally in the West have to pay for other people's commodities in their money, not our money. Huge inflection point. And it means the game's over, the party's over. Because we're no longer able to print. Because if we do, when we go back to Vladimir or to anybody else who's selling us commodities, the exchange rate that we're going to find is going to be rougher. Abuse your currency, it's going to devalue. Finally, this bankster globalist cartel has run out of rope. It's run out of room. So the free Gatorade is over, folks, because this is the realities. I don't have to show you a graph of the stock market. That's not one, because the stock market graph looks just like that. Goes up just like that. I don't have to show you the debt graph because the debt graph goes up just like that as the debt escalates and escalates and escalates. That's actually debt to GDP. It's an illustration of how when an economy and a financial system gets so abused, it reaches a point where it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it. In fact, the money you're throwing at it is the problem. And you throw more and more and more, and you just get more and more debt. And that's why we're having all this conflagration going on in Ukraine, is because they've spent the last 10, 12, 14 years getting ready to exit, having seen what happened in 2008 when the whole thing came crashing down, when it all came to an end. And there is no more engine of growth. There's nothing left in the West because it's broken. There's nothing there. That's why the new generation are not able to buy houses, start families, because there is no economy. There hasn't been one. We just go along in an unspoken depression. And that's why they're talking about not having children, reducing population, because they've economically failed and they have no economy for another generation to inherit. Those are the realities. And that's what's driving things behind the scene. And how has that accumulation of debt worked out for everybody, folks? Started here, 1980, Reagan, Thatcher, genesis of the entire thing. How's it worked out? When's the last time you got a decent growth rate? This is growth rates of economies. As you see, the red is no growth. The green is growth. And the trend is down. Where is it now? Minus 3.6% in 2020. Growth. When's the last time we had any decent growth, folks? Let's go back and see, can we find the high point? Going back, 1970, blah, blah, 1961, where are we here? Yeah, here we are. 1964. It's 6.71%. What about 6.55%, 1973? Then 1980. The big debt thing started. The financialization started. The great theft of our future, theft of our economy, theft of our heritage began. It's been a slow, steady economic decline spanning the 40 years of the cabal being in power. That's what it's been. And it's left us in this state. And look at the destination we're headed for as I draw you the trend there. Where's growth now? Boom. We've hit the zero line. The long-term trend has hit the zero line. COVID or no COVID. That's the reality that we're facing. And the events over the weekend as Putin gets his rubles for gold, or gets his gold, has crystallized all of it into a trifecta of failures: military, financial, and political. Military failure in Ukraine. Military failure globally, strategically, with this new Russian weapon been described as, by the Pentagon, as not a threat, something which can make it rain meteorites over the USA unstoppably. Then the financial failure layered upon that, as now we are left with lots of paper, and meanwhile the bricks of all the gold, the bricks of the gold. Russia, India, China. India joining with Russia and China now, determinedly. Russia and China between them have hundreds of tons, as has India. Financial failure as well. Meanwhile, on the political front, the globalist Democratic Party in the USA is heading for a wipeout in November, a certain wipeout in November, and it knows it. And of course, this is one of the reasons why games are being played with the market at the moment, as they have to do something that hopefully involves stimulus checks at some point. And in France, as I speak, they are voting to see if Marine Le Pen can wrest control of the Élysée away from the bankster Macron. She may very well succeed, and I'll tell you why. Because they played a very clever little game which backfired. That's why. The game they played was that as Marine Le Pen softened her stance and moved towards the centre, they invented a new crazy right-wing candidate to compete with her. The reason for that was partly to demonise everything about the right wing by bringing out a firebrand and trying to polarise again, but also trying to steal a march on her and insert somebody in that could come ahead of her in the first round and neutralise her by simply making sure she didn't get through. It was a bold move, and they flooded the airwaves with this guy over the last 6 months in France in an attempt to stop her. And guess what? It didn't work, because she came in second, not third. It didn't work. And furthermore, the fact that they brought in somebody totally crazy made her look sort of middle of the road by comparison, instead of a far-right extremist. Furthermore, cleverly, I think, although there has been disagreement, she was very low-key in the debate, allowing Macron to be the feisty guy who was worked up, battling and competitive, all of that stuff, while she sort of went low key and did exactly the opposite of what somebody who's a firebrand, who's a threat, who's radical might do, thus bolstering a sort of boring image. A very clever move, and I think that's going to work big time for Marine Le Pen. That and the fact that they screwed up with the attempt to stop her. In the course of the last 2 weeks, I heard an online video about Bitcoin, where some guy was lamenting the fact that others weren't getting in on the game. He said it's so easy. All you got to do is just go down. You can borrow money at virtually 0%, and you just take it out and you shove it all into the Bitcoin. What could go wrong? Well, that guy should know that 95% of the central banks around the world have stopped printing. The Fed's not printing, because the age of printing is over. The printing press era is over. The secret game, one of the many secret games, I'll tell you more about them as we go on, has been to buy the world by printing. A race to see who could print the most to buy the most of the planet. That game's over. And it's a game changer. The world is going to be shared out a little more evenly from now on. Buy the world meant running the hamster wheel of the economy at full speed. And that wears out hamsters. You didn't need that. That didn't suit you. That wasn't in your interest. And that hamster wheel stuff is over. But unfortunately, it's left a situation where you are an industrially farmed animal. And we need to deal with the implications of that. Because there's not going to be quite so much money in weapons from now on. So they've come up with a replacement for the military-industrial complex, and that's the pharmaceutical government media complex. You've seen that recently, haven't you, with COVID? Seen the launch of that. Yes, you're a new market. These are going to be lean times for these people, and they've plans. Unfortunately for them, it's not going to work. The universe has other plans. I've seen them, and they're not in it. All right. It's also been encouraging to see the response that we've had to the material going out, and there's now something like 4,000 subscribers on the channel. That's terrific too. I'll keep it up. I'll bring more stuff to you as things develop. Watch out you don't get hit by a falling market in the days ahead. I don't know, folks. That's just my call. Markets are unpredictable, as are elections, and who knows. It was a good call on Gonzalo Lira. He fortunately showed up the day after I predicted he definitely wasn't dead. So that one worked out. But these other two, who knows? We'll see as Sunday turns into Monday and the future unfolds. I'll be back with more very soon. I hope you join me for that. Subscribe and like if you wouldn't mind before you go. And we do have a forum on breakfornews.com and a whole host of stories there too, which you can catch up on there. And by the way, that way you can check out that video list as well too, because I have been described as an arch conspiracy theorist. There are topics I discuss which certainly don't go down well here on YouTube. And you'll get details if you get on the email list, which I haven't activated, but I'm doing it from now. All right. I'll be back with more soon. Hope you join me for that. But in the meantime, for breakfornews.com, this has been Fintan Dunn reporting. See you soon.